We're back. Welcome back to your. I can't even do this. I'm standing up. Can you tell, Cage?
How come?
I
Well,
don't know.
you're in a different spot.
I
You're in
wanted to
different
do
spot,
like
I can tell.
a standing
Nice
desk.
vaulted ceilings there. It looks very veil-like. It does.
This light's messing with me. But
Shut
welcome
it off.
back
Do
to
it in the
another
dark.
episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. And this is your fractional episode. Guys, we're about a month and a week out from the Mint Collective in Vegas. If you're on the fence, if you just want to get away, I don't know many places that are better in the winter than Vegas. So send us a message, go to Mint Collective and buy your ticket. If you're, financially, you want to talk about some things, we might be able to get you a discount. Reach out to us if you want to go. We're going to do a quick episode today.
And then you get to hang out with us, too, by the way. Hang out with the Rip Pack Slabs guys. Hang out with the crew, Prism God, Josh Luber. Think about it. Like, it's a weekend, Friday to Sunday. You could have a rap battle with the Rip Pack Slabs on Andrew's team.
You're an idiot.
And go straight from that to get a manicure and paint your nails with Luber. The special Luber colors that he does on his nails, which are amazing. I'm going to do the Luber nails for Mint Collective. And
it's not just Luber.
You could visit neighboring card stores with Dan Fleischman, maybe, like ride along and see if you can get any of the allocation from like the local Vegas stores for his crew. Hang out with the card ladder guys, maybe rub elbows with, Christina's PC, a hobby celebrity. Who else is going to be? Ken Golden, right?
Golden.
Dana White.
Sports card nonsense, guys.
Sports card nonsense. That crazy lady, Alex G, who's all over the place doing all kinds of stuff with everybody. There's just all kinds of stuff. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's a different kind of hobby vibe. Everybody talks about going to the National, and it's kind of like, oh, everyone's going to be there. But the show itself, it's a lot of cards. But I'm actually looking forward to, the different topics, the speakers, the different events that they have. So I'm getting excited for it. I gotta tell you.
I think it's the people that are going to be controlling the direction of the hobby, for better or worse. So a lot of the people there, Ken Golden, Josh Luber, the card ladder guys, all the way down the list, guys that have the hobby's fate in their hands. So I would also say that the community and vote with your dollars is kind of another way to kind of control the hobby destiny. So if you are out there listening and you believe that things should be different or better, remember where you put your money is kind of like every time you spend your dollar, it's a vote for the hobby or a vote for a business. So, Cage, we've been talking about Steph Curry, $700,000 for a buyout offer for the 9.5 BGS 9.5 National Treasures card. I'll tell you right off the bat, we've been talking about this card for 3 months. It's run up 20% probably since the beginning of the season. It's a card that I think is going to get rejected. I think that offer is going to get rejected for $700,000 just because of there's so much positive momentum for Steph right now. He's breaking records. The Warriors are in first place. Clay's coming back. Wiseman's coming back. People are starting to think, can this Warriors team win a championship? I think that's $1 million card. We said we think that that's $1 million card. Any thoughts on that offer before we go through the data?
Yeah, it's great to get an offer. You know what I mean? And sometimes offers mean other offers. So who knows what's going to wind up happening with it. But if your question is, do I think that the card is definitely worth that? Just one man's opinion, not financial advice. I do. We've been talking about that card for a while as something that I think when I first brought it up, what I specifically said was it is exactly the kind of card that Fractional is made for. And it's the kind of card that somebody can come in and make a buyout offer for, because it's not the kind of card you're going to see pop up all over the place, right? We just sat through another round of auctions last night. Heritage, Golden, PWCC ended, and this card was not in any of them. You can find a Jordan Fleer PSA 10. There were 2 of them that ended last night alone. Heck, you can find a Luka National Treasures. One ended last night too. You can find exquisite cards of LeBron. Seem to be ending all over the place, every month or so. This card, just doesn't pop up. It's It does not show up that often and in that high of a grade. So
1,000%. I don't know if I've ever seen it, and I know it's out of 99, but it's what not all out of 99 are the same, right? Like it just feels like from that era, that 2008, 2009, 2010 years, for some reason those years are much lower pop when it comes to Panini products, even though National Treasures has been out of 99 since basically day one. Cage. So that was a $497,000 IPO. It's currently marked sitting at 599,000, and the offer was for 700,000. What do you think happens if the offer gets rejected? Do you think you see some buying coming in?
people will definitely be buying it. But what's funny is we've seen that the price of a buyout offer does not necessarily reflect exact market trading on a specific asset, right? And we've seen that with the hockey card, right? Buyout was rejected. What was it? The Ovechkin one, I think. And buyout came in, it was rejected, and the card never got up or hasn't been at that buyout. It's still trading lower than that buyout. So, Curry, it's a little bit of a different story, I guess. But everybody's talking about Curry. Everybody's on Curry. He's having a great year. I have my own thoughts about Curry and his prices presently. Overall,
well, can I take a guess at what you think?
Sure.
You think that they're beginning to price in a championship?
Everything.
What is everything? What does that mean?
MVP. A playoff run, continued success for several years going forward. Moving him into the potential discussion of like top 10 player of all time. It's like the cards have really run up, and unless the season continues, unless they keep winning, unless he keeps doing his thing, the cards, they have a lot of success already priced into it. That's what I mean. And look, this record he broke is great, right? And I'm glad he was so quick to break it, because if he took another year to break Ray Allen's record, and it still would have been amazing, and he still would have beat it 4 years less time. Do you know who would have been second? Harden. Because Harden's in the top 5, and I think, just so you know, I mean, I haven't looked this up. I can look this up, but I remember seeing a stat of like the pictures, and it was like Ray Allen, was Reggie Miller somewhere in there? I don't know if Reggie Miller was third, but it was like James Harden was in there, and then Kyle Korver. Talk about like one of those records that really got a lot of press, a lot of play, that he broke this record. But it's a record of, Reggie Miller is a great player. Ray Allen was a great player, but no one thinks of them as greats of all time. You know what I mean?
Not top 10, not top 20.
Yeah, I would call them barely 50, 75, like in those, whole deal, right? Kyle Korver's not in there. You know what I mean? But he was a 3-point shooter. So the point I'm trying to make is that if this record was not exactly like, wow, like, it's become, I guess, a bigger deal because the 3-point shot is so important, and because Curry, and the 3-point shot have become sort of synonymous. But breaking that record, that doesn't exactly, justify all the stuff. It's the season he's having, playing at this level after having a season that was MVP worthy last year. Where what did he come in second in the MVP voting? It's just, it's a lot of stuff that's built in, and I do preach a little caution when it comes to Curry now because of that.
Let's talk about that. So if you're holding Curry, do you sell into strength?
It depends. If I had a lot of Curry, I probably would be peeling some off now. Yes. If I have one Curry card, I might not. But if I had a little Curry collection, yes, I probably would be starting to sell.
Are you buying Curry?
No, not at these prices. I'm not.
What about long term?
Well, I think Curry is a good investment long term, but I think his cards are starting to hit where you're seeing a lot of this season's success baked in. And I guess the best way to say it, right, is if all of that happens, if he wins the MVP and they go to the finals, maybe they win, is there some upside from here? Sure. I don't think it's a humongous amount of upside, because I think a lot of that's already in the pricing. Whereas I think the downside that's there for Curry right now, if they fall off, if they have an early exit from the playoffs, if he falls off, doesn't win the MVP, twist his ankle, whatever. There's a lot of things. I mean, look at all the people who have missed time this season. If any of that happens, I think that the potential downside to Curry is significantly more than the upside from where the cards are priced right now for this season. And I think
I believe that this is the true new equilibrium. So I don't think that there's as much downside as you're suggesting, but I also don't think that there's as much upside in the next 12 to 18 months either.
Yeah, but I mean, so if there's not a huge amount of upside, and the upside that is
Right.
there is based on perfection, then now is a time to think about levering out a little bit on his stuff. And that doesn't mean at 4 and change. That means at 7 or whatever this thing is at. I mean, obviously, someone has identified that this card is, undervalued, or someone thinks it's undervalued, because that's where a buyout offer comes in. And who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I can't wait to do next week's episode and report on what happened this week. I mean, it's part of the fun of the space.
Let's talk about.
I don't own any, by the way, and I don't have much of the way of Curry.
So we just did an episode with Prism God, and we talked a little bit about sneaker collectors, right?
Yep.
What's super cool about Collectable is there's a memorabilia component here. So let me tell you guys some of the performance over the last week of shoes, and memorabilia, right? So we have the sneakers buyout. So the Steph Curry sneaker buyout was accepted at 110,000. So that's a 33.8% return over IPO. So exclusive sneakers buyout. I don't think they're game worn. We have the Kobe Reebok sneakers cage up 18% this week, almost 19%.
Yep.
Kobe French blue sneakers. I think those are the Jordans. 50% this week. Up 50% this week. I think that has a little bit of like sneaker culture in it, right? You have Kobe wearing Jordans. Kobe's rookie sneakers up 57% this week. Kobe final season sneakers up 11% this week. Kobe first white jersey number 24 up 56% this week. Talk to me. What do you make of all this? It's a lot of Kobe memorabilia movement. That's a lot of sneakers. Who's buying into that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, memorabilia had been slightly down and cards were slightly up, and you saw a little reversal here. I mean, they're not huge numbers, but memorabilia, it seems like it kind of got it kind of fell off a little bit, and now people are realizing, all right, now they're at a price where it makes sense. I also think people have heard for a long time now, look at scarcity, right? And memorabilia, it provides that kind of scarcity, right? The cards that are out there are not that scarce. I think people are finally getting it. I mean, I remember in August, we talked about the silver basket, and how it was like twice as much as what it should be. And basically every week we've come on here and talked about how it's going down, but it's still way more than it is. And this week it was one of the worst performers on the platform. It's not scarce. It's not scarce by any measurement of your analysis, right? But these are. And also, you got to talk about the right type of scarcity, right? I mean, think of the story you just told. What these Jordans mean, what these Kobe's mean. How rare they are. For sneaker collectors, right? I mean, Andre the Giant's jockstrap is probably rare also, but like, is it the right kind of scarcity? I don't know. So, I mean, you get what the point is, right? Somebody who is a sneaker collector, a Kobe collector, or card collector, these sneakers appeal to that collector. There's a much wider audience for that than some of the other memorabilia pieces that are out there.
What stuck out to you, Gage? Anything? I don't want to monopolize this episode with my takes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was nice to see that Trey start to move up. The one we picked out last week.
Most disrespected athlete in cards.
I mean, one of, right? He's sort of like, I mean, I don't want we jinxed him and said he was the only one that's healthy. I think he went into safety protocols today. But who in the NBA hasn't gone into the safety protocols this week?
He proposed to his girlfriend this week too, so you don't know. Maybe an early honeymoon.
I mean, I guess it could be, right? So, what was amazing about that last week, and I try to find these kind of things, right, is when there's no reason for a player's stuff to be going down, and you can see that there's other items on this platform that aren't going down, but one went down. Usually what I read into that is that somebody exited that. Somebody was looking for liquidity, or somebody was looking to move their money into something else on the platform, and it's not a negative about the player. We talked about Trey last week. One of the Trey cards on the platform was actually up, and then that Trey was down. So to me, and there's nothing going on with Trey, that he's healthy. He's having a very good season. So when you look at that, you're like, okay, well, that's an opportunity. One of the best performing cards this week, from a vintage standpoint, right? Just a good performing card, was the 52 Tops the Maze card in PSA 8, right? So I don't know if you saw that one, right? Up another 8% after a gain of 5% last week. Market cap of $238,000 after Robert Edwards' result of 258. So still a little lower than that result. But what I found was, that's an awesome card, the 52 Tops. But what's funny about it is, well, that will always be, thought of as an iconic card. It's that 52 Tops set, just like the Mantle. Just like Mantle, Maze has a 51 Bowman. He has a rookie card in 51 Bowman, and the 52 Tops is actually a second-year card, believe it or not. First Tops, but it's second year. And that Maze is up, 13, almost 14% in the last 2 weeks. But if you look, and obviously Maze hasn't done anything in the last week that would hurt his value. Clearly, you know what I mean? So if you look at the Maze 51 Bowman PSA 7, if you want to pull that one up, it's a 7, not an 8, and it's a 51 Bowman. So it is a lesser card. It's not that the PSA 8 52 Tops is a difficult card to find in that condition. There's not that many of them, right? And this card, while it's not an easy card to find, it is the lesser card of the two. More people would rather the 52 Tops to the 51 Bowman. But the 51, and also the 51 Bowman, is in PSA 7. So what's funny about it is, I don't know if you can find it, if you can't, but
I'm on the Robert Edwards auction. Is that what you want me to pull up?
No. That was the PSA. I want you on the Collectable to pull up on Collectable the Maze 51 Bowman, because that's what I'm talking about right now. Take your time on it. And so this particular one, this was the one that stood out to me for exactly the same reason as the Trey that kind of stood out last week, right? There was another one on the platform that performed well. The 52 Tops Maze performed well. The 51 Bowman, if you just click it this past week or the IPO, right, it was $7.15 per share.
I think you cut out, but
can you hear me now?
Yes. $7.15 per share now.
The same type of precipitous drop for no reason, right? It went from $7.15 per share to start the week down to $6.10 per share, and ended the week at that $6.10, and that's down from a 10 IPO. So overall, the card itself is down, almost 40% from its IPO,
right.
And you definitely saw a significant drop, almost 20% drop this past week to a value, a really nice value on there. And again, is this card, an iconic card? Sure. Is this card one that, that looks like it's a buyout candidate? I mean, it's a great card, but look, the value on this, right? What do they have the overall market cap on this?
So
right, it's not
IPO'd at 99,000. Now it's at 60.
Yeah, 60,000, right? So I mean, that's not a horrible value. It's not one that's
Yep.
But it lost a significant amount of value this past week for no reason. That type of, you saw the chart, that type of just it looks like it's falling off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually somebody exiting their position.
And this is
true. Yeah. Yep. 51 Bowman, just like Mantle. Right. So, and it's a cool card. It's a nice 7. It's got nice centering on it. And yeah, I mean, this one's there were a couple other ones. I could tell you a couple other ones, but this particular one, this is what I look for, guys, when I do the, just to look at the analysis of what happened on these things. I mean, Willie Mays is Willie Mays. And if you see one going up and another one going down, that's odd. Like I said, Willie Mays didn't strike out a lot this week, right? There was no on-field performance for Willie Mays that would cause his cards to go down. As a matter of fact, his key, that 52 Tops in PSA 8, was up significantly. And we've seen this happen a couple of times, right? I mean, especially in Collectable and, in these and Fractional, you see people exit. The other thing you see is when those cards move up for a player, that you have that REA 52 tops selling for almost 300,000. You have this one moving up. I believe it's only a matter of time before other cards of that player catch up, right? And while a 51 Bowman seems to be the consolation prize to a 52 tops, especially 8 versus 7, it's a pretty nice card. So that was one that kind of caught my eye. Another one, just if you want to throw one out there, is the Giannis. Not that it didn't exactly take a bath, right? Talking about the gold immaculate card of his.
Okay.
That's a BGS 9, I believe. That one IPO'd at 10, and it has a pretty long trading history. And if you look at the chart, if you take a wide enough look at the chart, so this isn't one where I was looking at, one went up, one went down. This was down this week. Last week it ended at 910, and this week it ended at 798.
Yep.
But if you look at the chart on this one, you'll see this one has some steady trading, but it's steady trading like a wave. And it has gone down below 8 quite a few times during the trading of this one, because it's traded for quite some time, right? It IPO'd at 10, and was a little bit above 10. When it goes down into the 7s, it usually stays there for a week or two, and then it pops back up into the 8s or the 9s. It happened, it happens during the season. It has happened 2 times before the current trading, and each time within 2 weeks it was back up, and within 3 weeks it was back over 9. So this is one where, if history dictates, and past performance does not dictate future results, obviously, but if you look at this chart, you look at what he's doing now, you look at the card, which is a pretty awesome card, right?
Can I be negative?
Sure. Well, that's what you're here for, man. It's not always to say great things.
Part of me is happy that Panini will never hold this license again.
Why?
This is unacceptable to me. Like, this is such a beautiful card. An Immaculate is never, ever the first release. National Treasures is. How do you explain that this is an event worn card, Cage?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a good thing. But, people are complaining, oh, wow, National Treasures event worn now. But obviously, I mean, this is a 13 card, right? 13, 14.
And Immaculate
having event warrants for quite some time. Flawless is the one I like the most usually.
Right.
This card, I like to point this one out just because of the pattern and the trading.
Well, I mean, it's a gorgeous card, and then I look at the patch, and I'm like, this is a beautiful patch. But then it takes, and I have to be honest and transparent, it takes a little bit of the edge off when I see it's event worn. I mean, I guess you.
There's no shortage of Giannis. There's no shortage of Giannis that you could buy here, and I guess the thought is, if you're talking about 2 equal kind of cards, you'd rather pull one that is game worn as opposed to one that is event worn. 100%. I mean, I have nothing negative to say about that at all.
I'm not going to complain about it. Anyway, let's keep rocking.
You're allowed. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's definitely a talking point of what we're what we're doing here.
Well, when you have a $30,000 5-ticket item, 5-figure card, 6-figure card, that you're putting your hard-earned money into, you do want it to have that appeal, right? Game worn, to me, has that appeal. I want to talk about something, Cage. So you pointed this out to me. So let me get off screen share real quick. The Joe Montana card, the Joe Montana rookie card. It's a card you own.
Yep,
and
I do.
It traded flat this week, 55,900. But here's what's interesting: Lee Lind's, it's an auction house, just had a copy sell for 66,000.
Yep.
Here's why I think that's important. In this world of decentralized auction houses, you can rate them, auction house A, B, C, D, all the way down the line in terms of popularity, how many eyeballs it gets. That Leland's probably doesn't get as many eyeballs as PWCC or Golden. And here you have a Joe Montana card that sold, 20% higher than the comp on Collectable, which means to me that if that card sold on Golden, it would be a $70,000 card, 72,000. If it sold on PWCC auction, 70,000, because it would just have a few more eyeballs. Now, that's not a science. That's very anecdotal and qualitative. But something to take a look at is that Joe Montana card. In addition, the Jerry Rice card, which it's kind of paired with, I think that's still a 6-figure card, right? That's 100,000 plus.
Yeah, I mean, the Rice, there's a little bit less than the Montana, a little tougher card, a little, condition sensitive. And I mean, the Rice is probably a little less than that now. Rice was always more. Rice is probably close to 100, high 80, something like that. It always was slightly higher than the Montana. I think it still kind of is. But yeah, I mean, listen, the tough part on Montana, and I love the guy because that was the GOAT when I was watching football as a kid, is you used to be able to make an argument that Brady and Montana, which one was the GOAT. And Brady, I think, has kind of grabbed that one by the horns and, has moved past Montana in that, and no one has come close to Rice.
1,000%. 1,000%. But I think Montana's Brady's favorite player.
Yes. So, then Brady can come out and buy all of Montana's cards. Listen, this card, it's one of those things where, if you're looking for a savings bond type of play, right, when you see someone pay $800,000 or close there too for a Luka, you start to see people spending the money for Josh Allen. You start to see people say, I'll stick with football, right? The Justin Herbert numbers and, how much people are paying for these cards. And you realize just how low pop the PSA 10 for a Montana is. And you basically can't even get a really good Justin Herbert card for that price. And Justin Herbert won't ever be Joe Montana. It's unlikely that he'll be Joe Montana. I can't say won't, but people will start paying more attention to those type of cards. They had a moment, they kind of pulled back, and I think they're starting to move back up. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I guess it's 3 different cards. Acuna, he was injured this year. But I'll give you besides the Acuna one, there's 2 of them. One injured, one just was bad. And I guess my question for you is there a price where these cards become too cheap? Number 1 is Gleyber Torres, where, he had it's the 2015 Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor that IPO'd at 10, and this week was down to a flat 3. So down from 425 to 3 week over week. People obviously exited that, and now that's down 70%, right? He's still very young. He's on the Yankees. Is there a price for that where you think, wow, it's the risk on it is so low at that price and the potential reward is so high? And the same question, more a sport and a player that I think you're going to be more willing to talk about. It's a card that we gave as a play. It's a card that is an interesting kind of, or I gave as a play, interesting kind of, lesson learned type of thing, because I think there was a buyout. No, not. I don't know if there was a buyout. There was definitely a contract. That was I'm talking about the Michael Porter Jr. 1/1 Contenders auto that IPO'd at $10.
So
right, $10 per share. And that card, you know what that was down to this week?
What was it?
$1.90 a share. So
what's
it was
the market
$3 a share last week, $1.90 per share. So there are, let's see how many shares of that, 29.95. So quick math, 3,000 shares, $2 a share. So it's just, the market cap's going to be just under, what is that? Just under 6,000.
Well, let me talk about baseball first. My concern with baseball is not that you can be right, but it's still hard to exit, right? So with Steph Curry, there's so much demand for his cards, right? There's demand for a buyout. There's a lot of people looking at his cards. There's a lot of people bidding. With Gleyber Torres, you could be right. His cards can go up, but it might be difficult to exit because I don't think people are bidding as much on his cards, right? You see this, it's not just enough to buy the right card. You also have to know that the platform, and remember that for you to sell the card, there has to be people on the other end putting in bids, right? Yeah. And I'm curious how many people are using Collectable and the fractional space to invest in second, third, fourth tier MLB prospects.
Well, I guess the question becomes, it's now on here at a price that is 70% less than what it was IPO'd at. The card's there, and people are exiting on it. Is there the potential where
it might be down?
Says, you know what?
It might be down 70% because you have to exit. It's so hard to exit that card. So you have
to. But I guess my thought is, because it's so hard, because of the liquidity issues here on a card that is going down like that, right? Is there a price? I'd have to look at comps on that. The MPJ is going to be difficult because it's a 1/1. There's no comps in the orange. There's other ones out there that. But I guess my thought is, could it work the other way? Could just people running for the hills looking to exit, could this knock the price of this down where it's below comps? Could that MPJ become a price where somebody says, you know what, if everybody wants to exit, I might as well just put in a buyout offer and then let everyone exit? I mean, could there be a potential for that, or is MPJ just done?
Well, MPJ, I think, is a buy. This MPJ card is definitely a buy, Cage. So let me give you some numbers to this. It IPO'd at 29,950.
You got the card up, so everybody, you be able to do that. You're the man. Look at you.
So here's the card, Cage. One of one contenders. Beautiful card, honestly. But honestly, this card is $5,000 right now, or current market cap. I mean,
5 and change. Yep.
I could see an MPJ collector coming in and buying this out for 7.5. This is a 1 of 1, regardless of what you think about the guy and his history. You can't say that, a 1 of 1 contender auto in this market, in this climate, with a guy that's 20, 21 years old who's going to play next year is 5,600. I've seen way less established logo mans and cards like that go for as much, if not more. So yeah, I definitely think that this is a buy. I think if I were to ask to quote this card, I think this is a $9,000 card, Cage. $9,000 card.
Well, I mean, when it opened up in secondary, it actually jumped a little bit the first week of trading secondary to 10.03. So it was actually, if you multiply that out, basically $30,000 card. And that was right around, he was getting his contract extension. That was during the season. And, it was 9.7. I mean, it has fallen off because he wasn't playing. And now, it has really, fallen from there. But that was the point, right? I mean, there are other items on here that, they IPO'd, they're trading, and almost everybody is sort of running for the hills from those items. An MPJ fan might not even know this is out there and be like, wait a second, 101, contenders auto for how much? He's going to be back next year. I don't know if he's going to be back next year. I don't know if he's going to be back ever. But at some point, I guess the question I have for you was, do some of these things, do they become too cheap? Is there a buy-in? And you seem to think yes.
Cage, we need to do better about this. We're in this weird world where we act like every injury is like season ending and career ending.
This is multiple back injuries for him.
Yeah, but no one ends their career on multiple back injuries. Well, what you'll see happen is he'll come back, he'll play a few games, he'll maybe get relegated to the bench, and you'll see his demise slowly from there. But it's not like he's never going to step foot because he still wants to earn his money. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
He can't just be like, my back's hurting, just pay me my 120 mil.
Even if that's the case, is that somebody you're investing in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he'll be in practice and he'll knock down 12 threes and you'll be like, oh, he's back, and you could sell before he ever steps on the court again.
I love it. This is why we talk about it. How about one more? I'll ask you about it, right? And it'll get you into the.
By the way, that doesn't apply to MPJ. That applies to every player across the board. It applies to Wiseman. Wiseman right now, he's going to step back on the court. He's even going to get announced that he's going to be back on the court. People are going to start buying him up.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Michael Jordan's PSA 10. Now, I own the card. I want to make sure everybody knows I own one of these. It actually was one of the larger fallers, I guess, if you want, decliners week over week. Share price from 35 closing last week down to 31. And this is one that has been significantly higher than that. It was in the 50s back in March.
Can you start using market cap, not stock, not share price?
60. Well, so you can pull up and tell me how many shares there are, right? I think there's 10,000, so it should be pretty easy math, right? So if it was $60 a share, that's 600,000. If it's currently now 31, then it's 310,000. Is that okay? It's too much math for you. You want me to give you a minute to go get a calculator?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So 310.
310, yep.
Correct. So did you see that last night 2 of these cards ended?
Well,
one on PWCC, one on
1.5, because the other one has Steve Aoki collection on it.
So let's talk about that. And there is the topic. What are your thoughts? What do you think about the end?
I think it's I try not to badmouth influencers that are trying to help the hobby grow, but I thought that was pretty corny. I didn't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand the benefit to the card. I don't understand the benefit to the market. And honestly, I don't understand the benefit to him. If it was Yeah, I just don't see the value, and I wouldn't want that on my card.
Right. So, guys, there was one that ended in golden auction that had Steve Aoki collection on it. They PSA added the Steve Aoki on the slab, and it actually sold for less than the one on PWCC sold for. Do you remember how much they sold for?
I think it was 240 and 280.
240 and 280 with buyer's premium.
I don't understand why buyer's premium is even a thing. It's madness. Like, I don't get can someone out there explain to me why there is a buyer's premium?
That's just the way auctions work. So the buyer pays that, and that's how the auction house gets paid. The hammer price goes to the person who's selling the card, and let's pull this up here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, the whole buyer's premium thing is very weird to me. I mean, guess
it shouldn't be weird to you. They could do it without that, and just you'd be paying 20% more. You know, it shouldn't be so, crazy. It shouldn't surprise you. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is, man.
Why are they taking 20% of the vig?
They're not.
360 for the normal one. I apologize. Sold for 360.
That's what I thought. And then the other one sold for 3 and change with the premium also. It sold for so the reason I bring this up, guys, is because I believe that we've previously have had comps. We previously had comps on these that were lower. The last few of these sold in the twos, high twos. And did not sell, for in the threes. There's less of these out there now. Yeah, so 360 was the premier auction. I just want to make sure lot 150. So I bring this up because remember I own one of these. It made sense to me that if the prior comps on these cards were in the twos, that the collectible would fall from 340, 330 down to 310. Right? But now you have 2 comps this weekend, one as high as 360, and I'll tell you, the one on PWCC that's over 360 is not the greatest looking 10. The right edge has some you could see the issues with the card. I mean, every 10, if you want to, you can nitpick it. And the Aoki one, a little off centered, and it said Aoki on it. But even the Aoki one with the buyer's premium sold for more than what the Jordan on Collectable is. I'm not saying it's going back to $700,000, but there are recent comps that now, for the first time in a while, because we had one of these, the one on Collectable went like this at the same time as the comps in the most recent auctions are actually going like this. We've had a cross here. So the Collectable one at 310 value is actually lower than the 2 comps from yesterday.
So I've been trading a lot more NFTs recently, and I'll tell you, this looks like a consolidation period in that card, where it kind of changes hands. So anytime there's a run up, and this applies to any asset, anytime it has a run up, there's like this period of time where it exchanges hands, where people who are in it take profit so that they can enjoy their lives. Some people are never going to sell. They're the long-term holders. And there's this process of, I want to sell, I want to get out, I want to take profit. The price kind of falls and dips a little bit. There's this period of it stabilizes. And I think a card like this, then you have to evaluate, is this a good asset? And I think this is the best asset in the game because it's that admission ticket, right? It's that access token, like you call. I think this card has, in the short term, has nowhere to go but up. Because who's really selling this card at this point, right? If you own this card, if you own this card, yeah, but there's not going to be a supply shock, is what I'm saying. It's not like when you see it go from 300,000 to $1 million, there's a supply shock because everyone's like, let me get my mill out. I just made 700,000. I could buy a house. So I think those people have already gotten out. And I think this card is going to start trending back to 500,000.
I own one, guys, so I'll not make a prediction. I'm just telling
Stop rubbing it in. You're so annoying.
No, that it's for it's for the purposes of
you
transparency. You understand how it works, but the point that we're making here is that the one on Collectable is now lower than the comps.
I sold my PSA 8.
Nice. It's okay. You bought something cool with the money.
Let's okay, so just two IPOs this week. The SGC 10 1986 Fleer. That one's gonna IPO for 186,000. Let me ask you something. So SGC is renowned for vintage. They've made a lot of strides in modern, but they're probably, a distant second to PSA in modern. But vintage, they're legit.
So what is it IPOing for?
186K.
Okay. So it's a very fair IPO price because an SJC 10 sold last night in the premier auction for 180.
Cool. Just
so
real
you
quick.
Have a very close comp. Go ahead.
Is this vintage? Is this card a vintage card? Like,
vintage is supposed to be, at least the last time I looked, pre-1972, right? But I don't know the last time PSA changed that. A lot of people would consider this vintage. I mean, this card's it's 35 years old. That's people consider.
The reason I asked is the arbitrage between the spread, the ratio between old school Babe Ruth cards in a PSA versus SGC holder is much more narrow than this is basically half the price of a PSA 10.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, let me wrap here. So we have a lot of IPOs.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, sorry. So this is this week's IPOs, and then there's next week. So we had Harmon Killebrew IPO, fully funded, 1955, Topps PSA 9. Otto
you love
Graham.
that guy's name.
Is a cool name.
That was your favorite fraternity brother name, Killebrew.
Otto Graham, 1950 Bowman PSA 9, fully funded. LeBron James, 2003 Fleer Essentials Credentials. BGS 95, fully funded. We had the Ronaldo Mega Cracks. There's 20% remaining in a PSA 10. The SGC 10 is open. And what else we got? We have LeBron James rookie season sneakers currently open for exclusive in-app early access. Honestly, the way that the sneakers are trending, that would be an interesting one. And guys, I just checked my portfolio. I haven't checked it in a while. I've checked a few of my fractional portfolios, and I deposited $20. I deposited $20 in Collectable and $20 in Rally. And I bought a Punk on Rally, and I bought a Giannis card on Collectable. That $20 is now $96.
Wow.
Right. So my point with that is you don't have to throw like the whole kitchen sink at this. You could put $10-20 into something just to get a taste.
Almost 5x there, Charlie.
Right? I haven't checked it in a minute.
That is pretty sweet right there. I mean, how do you beat that? Nice stuff.
You can only beat that if Tom Brady decides to beat the Saints, but I think the Saints have his number for some reason.
Is it already going on? Are they losing?
Just started. No, it's 3-0 they're losing. First quarter.
Yeah, Brady will be fine. He always is.
All right,
man. Listen, this was a fun one. Lots of fun stuff. Lots of cool. I like when there's a bunch of auctions that end and give us comps and stuff like that. People out there, it gives the folks, recent comps, recent numbers to kind of, compare these items to. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Talk to you soon, everybody.